This meeting
vendor
is
part.
being recorded.
No worries. So we're going to be focusing on material and vendor part. Since you will not be on buy and sell, but you will still be harmonized, making sure that our material groups are followed and the account groups are followed correctly, your workflows will be much simpler than the global ones. So when it comes to material creation, I'll show you how it works. Orsoft has different instances, and you will be using this one, which is a global Orsoft instance, which belongs to P01 and PG3. So as you know, PG3 is the general data, P01 is the global system where we create contracts and extend materials, create material views on our done trade virtual plants. For Mexico, I believe you have which system, P01? Hello? Can't hear you guys. I lost you for a bit. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said regarding the your system. Which system do you use for the local?
Which system do we use? Sorry?
Yeah, P0X. Which system do you use?
For P07?
07. This one, yeah? No, awesome.
Okay.
Okay. So, because this is a global Orsoft, that's why you see the P01 and PG3. Because when we, let's say, create material in PG3 on the general level, then we also have a step to create local views, which is our local views in P01. And then from your side, local views would be in P07. Make sense?
Right.
So now, how the process is designed. Basically here, we have to customize the workflow. Depending on your organization and how many steps you guys will need, from our side, we will only be checking for material creation material groups. I don't think we will be doing the Z9 anymore, and also product hierarchy. So here, if you go to customizing, and then we will look at the workflow template, I will show you how it is done. Here we can filter by vendor, material, and customer. And in the future, there will be a business partner when we migrate to S4HANA, but that's another topic. Right now, we're talking about materials. And we will see all the templates that are released that are used nowadays. So let's say you need to create a new material. Let's say a new raw material. This is the template that is used here in Done Trade, and it consists of 21 steps. Each step represents a certain action, and it belongs to a certain user group. So, for example, for Done Trade here, the step begins with the initiator, or in our case, country business unit initiator, or a project manager, and do the same. They start with the step 10, which is called material creation request. And at the same time, I will open another Orsoft for you so you can see side by side what exactly that step looks like from filling out point of view, because I want you guys to be familiar that what you see here is more like a description of the step, and it's not very visual. So I'll make sure that you can at least have some visual recollection. There you go. For example, okay, so you see all the steps up to 85 steps. And this is the same workflow. I mean, it's a workflow that has all the same steps as the one you see in the template here. Okay? So it starts with the step number 10, and I'll double click on it so you guys see what it looks like. This is step 10, and it consists of the general data, the material description, so on and so forth, classification. And what you can see here are the dialogues. So here for the workflow general data, this is a dialogue. And this dialogue, you can see inside of this step, this is the dialogue that was created, and you can edit this dialogue so you can see the sub-dialogues in here. And these are the sub-dialogues. So in that one dialogue, we have sub-dialogues. Same as here, you can see that we have sub-dialogues. We have for workflow general data, a sub-dialogue for material description, and so on. This is how you design a workflow with the fields that you would need to fill out in the beginning. You would create these dialogues. They can consist of SAP fields or they can consist of non-SAP fields. We have already pre-designed workflow templates because in Brazil, we already have the workflows set up, and I believe it's going to be much easier if we just copy those workflows and apply it in your case. So I'll go back here and I'll show you again. So this is the step 10, where we're going to fill out this dialogue that consists of all other sub-dialogues for all the general information. Now, let's imagine that we, as a requester or a project manager, you filled these out, right? There is also a comment section, alternative unit of measure, and so on. When you're done filling this out, or if you're a project manager and you're done filling these out, you can save it, and after you save, you will receive the workflow ID number, this one, and after this, it will tell you if you missed any mandatory fields, because you can set mandatory fields here without which the workflow will not progress. So basically, if the person is creating a raw material and you forgot, let's say, to put a material group, it will show you a red exclamation point, and it will tell you that you forgot to mention material group. So it will not allow you to progress. Once you fix all the errors and you do the fixing of the mandatory fields, then you will be able to click confirm. Once it's confirmed, it will go to step 20, as you can see here. Let me close this. Step 20, and it's called downtrade master data launch validation. It looks like this. So basically all the same fields, but it will be checked by our DSP team. DSP stands for the non-service platform that we have from Accenture that we are outsourcing the manpower. So as you can see here, this is the step 20. And this step belongs to Material TCO Master Data Manager, which is all the DSP people that we have in Manila, as well as 2 key users in Bratislava and here in Amsterdam. And it consists also from this dialogue that you can see here. And if you click Edit, you will see also the sub-dialogues. And all of these sub-dialogues can also contain other sub-dialogues. For example, this sub-dialogue of RU10S has these fields in them. So this is what you see, the CBU requester is right here, CBU requester. The next one is SAP field, product allocation determination. And this is what you have, product allocation. The next one is, again, the price hit number. you don't need to worry about price at number because this is an internal tool that we have here to price materials on global level, and you don't need to include this at all. So, but we have it because we need this for our process. And then the last one we have here, the VBU, and it's made for EDP. Any questions so far?
No, for
the moment, no.
Okay, so but is this clear, the general stuff, how to make the workflows? So I will continue and I will just tell you what other steps do we have here. So let's be visual. So I'll show you this one again. So basically, let's say our team, they go in the workflow and they check this. So they're going to open each and every field and they will double check if it corresponds with what you're deciding to create. So for example, if you're creating, in our case, a Z raw material, which is raw, the material group should start with an R, right? So this is what our team will check. If the material group is with R, if product hierarchy matches to material group with the file that you already have. Remember, have you seen the file with our product hierarchy? I think you've used it before to harmonize your materials. Did you? Yes, no, maybe?
¿Son eso de las categorías?
sí.
Sí, flexibles, plásticos, no, eso,
Product hierarchy should match material group, right? You know this material group already, no? Never mind, it's pineapple, so it says here anyway. So, what else our team will check is English description. In our case, it's Z9 technical description because this is the description that our global buyers use that goes on a technical contract. So I believe you don't need to worry about the Z9 technical description, but you will only need to have the English description. So let's say you're trying to create here from the material group, you see it's a pineapple. And here in the name, you also see it's a pineapple. And if you, for example, creating a Z raw, and it says here a potato, but you pick a pineapple, that's the time that we're going to flag it, okay? We don't want you creating potatoes and assigning it to pineapple. So here we also check if the base unit of measure is followed, because for the Z raw, we have it also always in kilos to make sure that the standard price is also measured in kilos. Here we also assign a buyer force because in our workflows we have responsible people that are responsible for different categories of these materials, and this workflow will be routed to the person who is responsible for this specific category, which is fruit field. Because I will progress and I will show you later on how you will be able to direct the workflows for your own convenience, for your own organization. Let's say our team checks this information and everything's perfect. So then they will just click confirm from their side, which is here on the bottom. Once they confirm the step, it will jump to the next step. And you can see it here from the template. So this is step 20. And you can see from step 20, it will jump to the next step, which is 29, if it does not meet the condition, if there's a condition. So see, they created a condition here, or we created a condition. And the condition here says, if the launch validation has been followed or not. And if this is not met, then it will jump to ELN or done trade step. But in our case, let's imagine that it's a perfect world and everything is great and there are no errors to correct. It will jump to the step 29. And step 29 here, you can see, is right there. Skip CBU quality. And this is for us because we have a team. Was there a question? No?
No.
No, there was some noise. Anyway, so we have a quality team, and in our organization, we need to decide, we need to make sure that the good supplying site is created. Do you guys work with good supplying site, GS, in partner functions? GS? Yes? Yes? No?
Sorry?
GS, partner functions. Are you familiar with partner functions? Here.
Okay.
Master data people. I'm talking to you. Who's from master data? Laughing there. Anyway, so here we have a GRP account, the GRP vendor, and it has a GS, or a good supplier. Please tell me you guys are familiar with this. Hello?
Se reciben esa planta, ¿no?
I can hear you guys talking, but I don't know what's happening. Anyway,
We are explaining what's about the number of the contributor, the earner. What does it mean? Because
I can't hear anything.
we're explaining. So,
Can't hear anything. Sorry guys, I cannot hear anything.
All right, Artemio, can you hear me again?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Well, I was talking about, we were explaining Orsoft, what's the use of the partner functions.
You were explaining how to use partner
we are talking about it. That was all.
Okay.
You can continue.
Because I don't see you guys, I don't see what you guys are doing, and it's hard to hear, so that's why. So anyway,
Sorry, because we have this one laptop with the microphone, and if we're not getting approach to the laptop, you can hear us. So I'm
that's
getting
why.
closer.
Do
That's
you
why.
have a room for video conferencing?
Not in this one. No, not in this
No.
this room.
Well, coronavirus, we'll have to use the video all the time now, so.
But we are hearing you fine, and if you want to continue, it's fine for us.
Yeah. So I'll continue. So basically, if you know the partner functions design, we have a ZTRP vendor, and it's linked to a good supplying site, a factory that belongs to the supplier and that supplies the goods or produces the goods, either raws or packaging. And one supplier can have 10, 15 factories all over the globe. So we will place the contract under this supplier, but the goods will be delivered depending on which good supplying site it's coming from. In our case, it's just one. So this is in 2 words about the quality team, because what they do, our quality team, is they create this number here, the good supplying site that starts with 6,000. Our quality team, they create this. So when it goes to their step, which is here, no, that's for the supplier. Sorry, we're talking about materials. For the CBU quality check. Sorry, I messed up the vendors and materials. In this case, it's different. So after the material was approved here, what was it? Yeah, the launch validation. The quality in our case is the Artemis specification when it comes to material. So it's here. Sorry, I messed that up. There you go. This is quality does this. So just to recap, quality creates for the suppliers, it creates those GSs, and for materials, it creates the specification code, which is an Artemis code. I don't know if you guys use this in Mexico waters. Do you? I think it's only for SN. How do you distinguish which material is duplicate or not? What's your process now?
Luego no preguntaba de aguas.
For Bonafont, we're not using it. It's only for Danone.
What guys do you use right now for making sure that you don't duplicate? Yeah, specific process.
We are delivering that point, and we need to get agree if the Artemis code, not only for Danone, but both.
But for what? Anyway, it's fine. If you guys cannot figure it out, I will just move on talking about Orsoft so we don't waste time, okay?
Okay, it's no problem. We are talking about how those ZN are created when we are talking about the flow with the Artemis. And as I have
so you do use Artemis, right?
It's only for Bonafont. It's not for Bonafont, sorry, it's only for Danone. And we are talking,
for what?
it can be useful to get the same Artemis code, but for Bonafont also.
So you guys use Artemis, yeah?
We use Artemis only for Danone.
When you say only for Danone, you mean the products, not the water?
The dairy division.
The dairy division Artemis. Okay, so for water division, you don't use Artemis. But what kind of specification do you have to make sure that you do not duplicate materials? For example, you know, you're creating one packaging, one bottle, and then there is a need to create another bottle. How do you distinguish? By name? By material group?
For description, master data team review the description and check how have duplicated
So basically, the material description, and then you check in your system if you already have similar material or not, yeah?
is manually.
Okay. I'll continue regarding the workflow. So basically, this is the quality step. So this is where our quality team that's responsible for this specific category makes sure that this Artemis code corresponds to the same specification that is being requested, which is in our case is a pineapple with this material group and with this description. Then I'll show you the template again. After our quality team confirms the step, which is, let me show you here. This is step 30. I'll close it. And if you can see here, step 30, quality check is this user group that is called Material CBU Quality Validation. And that means whoever has the responsibility of a quality validator will open Orsoft, will go to the role Material Validator. Once they're going to be there, if this material belongs to their category, it will appear here in the user task. They will see this workflow with the green button, and it will be asking them to proceed with this step. So what they will do is they will click on this step that they need to complete. And I cannot open it. Yeah, I can't open it at the moment because it was skipped. But anyway, so what will happen is they will click on it, and they will have to check the Artemis code, and then they will have to click confirm. If they confirm, it will jump here. You can see that the next step is step 40. And there's also condition. If they do not agree with that step, it will, if the condition is not met, and let's say Artemis specification is wrong, they can reject. So if the condition is met, it will go to a step 35, and it means step 35 is CBU quality check KO, which means not okay. And then the workflow will be finished. It will be just completed, and that's it. The material will not be created. But if everything is fine, and quality team, our quality team from here, from quality validation, they approve the step, and they say Artemis is correct, it will jump on step 40. And step 40 is here, which is done trace master data duplicate check. And it also belongs to Material Master Data Manager, which is our DSP team in Manila, as well as key users in Bratislava. And it's this step. So our team will open this workflow, and then we will check if this material already exists in the system or not based on Artemis code. Okay?
Okay.
So the next step will be 46. Basically, if there are no duplicates in the system, and this looks like a new material, and we need to create a new ERP code, it will jump to step 46, which is about US. It's just a conditional logic, then goes to 48. So once all of these were approved, we will have to have then integrate all of this information with PG3 on general data. So this step also belongs to master data managers, which is us. And what happens is all of this data that was entered in here by different teams and approved by different teams will be synced with SAP, with PG3. So basically, you will click the button, and it will create the material. Maybe I can show you an example in a quality environment, since you already have quality environment. I'll show you quickly what it looks like. Is this clear so far? Like how the workflows are done, how they work, and how different people work with different steps? Got it. Yeah. Okay, so this is quality environment. You can see it's QG2 here, which is right now testing environment for S4HANA, but material creation is exactly the same. So let's imagine I'm a project manager and I want to create a new material. So I click here on create a workflow. Once I do that, I will choose the type of material I want to create. So we were talking about the Z-Draw, right? So I'll choose Z-Draw, and then I will choose which template I want to use. So we were talking about the done trade template, which is this one. And this is the, this is that pack. Is that raw? That pack? Is that raw? So,
The 21 steps.
yeah, the 21 steps for raw creation. So that's the one we should pick. Use it raw creation, that it is. After this, I click Save and Start. And here we have our dialog. So this is what I was telling you. It will show you the exclamation point for the mandatory field. So we will start to fill out, let's say Mexico Dairy, but you will be waters. We will create you your own. Then you'll have to decide, for example, if it's a done trade material, it will be a tier 1 or tier 2, depending on the relationship with the supplier, what kind of material that is. For you, it will be a local material. And this also allows you to kind of skip certain steps. Basically, if you're using this workflow template, which is here, depending on what you choose, if you choose that it's a local material, it will skip some of the steps, I believe, in here. So let's say it's local material. This used to be used for SRSA number, or right now we call it price it. This is to price material. Let's just put test here for now. So right now we only have EDP or SN, no waters yet. Let's choose whatever. So here let's choose I believe this is also not updated. The value tables here are not updated. So they don't really match with the ones that we have in production, but this is just an example. So here we have our test material. Then when it comes to product hierarchies as well, so this is the material group. We do done on raw material. We will do the fruit preparation, let's say, for example, fruit prep with puree or pieces, and then we were doing pineapple. Let's find out pineapple. We can actually type pineapple. There you go. Once we choose all of the drop-downs, it will also populate the product hierarchy of this material. And then this product hierarchy, you can also check in SAP, in PG3, or you can check in the extract that we shared with you guys when it comes to the material groups and product hierarchy. Let me open and show you real quick again what I'm talking about if you guys don't remember. This one. Do you remember this file? Have you ever seen this file? So let's click Control F and find this hierarchy. So in our case, we have different ones depending on what kind of pineapple it is. As you can see, it has not only level 4, but level 5 and 6, I believe, yes. So in our case, we have all of these are pineapples, but it also goes deeper into level 5 and 6. So it's not just this pineapple, it's not just 4 levels. It can go deeper to, let's say, frozen, 0.5 millimeter, and see it keeps adding more and more to the product hierarchy. And then also the finest level is, I don't know why it's coconut milk. Yeah, it is coconut milk. So there you have it. Do a 6th level, yep. So this is our material that we'll be creating. And if we go all the way to the front, you will see that this is the material product hierarchy, and this is the material group to be used. And we can double check if it matches. And there you have it. It's the same, 6,033, 6,033. Make sense?
Yes.
Get another test. Pineapple. Here, this is the material group. It also has drop down, and you already know by the product hierarchy that this is going to be the material group, which is 01, 01, 30. And you can do the same thing here. First is R. Second level is going to be, again, 01 because it's fruit prep. Another one will be, again, you can check, another 01, yeah. So fruit prep puree. And the fourth one is pineapple. There you go. Okay?
Okay.
So then here I'm going to choose buyer force portfolio. Basically, this request will be handled by one of our pricing coordinators because they will need to price this material. So I will choose like Europe and fruit prep. So it will be R for fruit fields and let's say Europe. And it will be taken care by one of our pricing coordinators in the future. So, okay, let's move on a bit faster. So, since this is going to be creation on general level, you don't need to put in the plant in here because you will do your local views from your side by yourself. Okay, let's imagine this is it, and then I save and confirm the step. So once this step has been confirmed, I can click refresh, and this is what I see. This is my workflow that I just created. You can see that my initiator name is here when I created this, and also at which step it is right now. So here we can also see that what template was used to create this workflow. So this is new Z-Raw raw creation. And here is the template. New Z-Raw raw creation. 21 steps. So here is a user task. Basically here we will see what is pending on our side to action. If let's say it's at the step of the quality and I'm a quality person, I log into Orsoft, I see this here and I see the green arrow. It means I need to action it. So I will click on this and it will open this workflow and it will tell me what exactly needs to be done. Since this workflow, you can also open in workflows here and you can look at how many steps it has. You can copy paste in the filter and then you will see how many steps and where it is at the moment. So you can see here the same thing as what I already showed you before. You see here the CBU requester will be Mexico water, it will be Z-Raw, and it will be a workflow description. So in your case, it's probably going to be new Z-Raw Mexico waters, let's say. And you will see who created this request, and you will see also at which step it is now. So you can see it's at step 20. And step 20 is called Done Trade Master Data Launch Validation, which means our DSP team. And so let's imagine I'm DSP, so I open this step, and now I need to action this. So I need to validate this step. And to validate it, I need to make sure that you guys from your side filled out everything correctly. So I will check your brand, I will check your conditioning and everything, whatever you need to fill out. So these are the things that you will have to also decide. You'll have to know the general data that you need. So the general data that SAP needs, which is like mandatory fields, which is the name, material group, product hierarchy is not a mandatory field, but it will be a mandatory field in Orsoft because we want to make sure that each and every material is harmonized together with the rules of cycles and procurement. So you will have to, this is one of the tasks, I guess, that we will have to discuss with you, what dialogues you would want to use and what fields. but most of them will be the same because you will be using exactly the same extract and you will be using global Orsoft. So the material groups will be here already. Product hierarchy will also be here. You will also have the same file that I just showed you, which is this one. You can use it. We will update this. The more new material groups we will create, the more lines we will add. As you can see here, we've been adding quite a lot. And we have a project to kind of redo some because we have a lot of vegetables coming and fish and meat. And we will have to reorganize some of the material groups. And once that's done, we will share this with you. So you also have all the updated files. Okay, so when you discuss what exactly the fields that you would need, we want to know if you store any additional information in SAP when it comes to your materials. Do you have any sort of fields that you don't see here? You know, when you create a material on general level, I want to know what are the fields that you use. So, of course, you know, we will have the description, we will have the base unit of measure, we will have the material group, which is harmonized with our rules, we will have the product hierarchy. What is it that you guys use that you haven't seen yet in my presentation? Any specific tabs that you use, maybe for waters specifically? Do you use the material number 2 here or number 3? Do you store any data?
Los campos de número del anterior los llegan a llenar.
No, llenamos la especificación.
No.
Y en ese campo llenamos la especificación.
Pero esos son del número de material antiguo.
Hoy no, material.
So this is what you can see is classification. This is what the Artemis is stored. And other tabs like sales organization. Maybe you store commodities. No? No. So I guess the question for me would be, if you have this information that you want to store in SAP, we can always create an extra field in Orsoft, and you will be able to sync this field with Orsoft, with the SAP. So for example, if let's say, here you can see the SKU material, what field, I don't know. If let's say you want to store some information in a specific field that you use here, I don't even know which one. Let's say material number 3. If you in your organization are storing this information, so we can add this field in Orsoft, and then you'll be able to sync this with the PG3 general level.
Okay, thank you. We will check if we need any additional field. Or
Yeah.
We are checking out.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, the less the better, so, for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
So now I'm going to go back to the steps presentation, and I will continue. So basically, we're on step 48 in our case, which is PG3 integration. Now, this is the step when we create the material. So all the data that was entered here by you guys and was checked by us is going to go to the central system. So let's say we validated this workflow because everything is correct. Classification is fine, no alternative unit of measures. We will confirm this step from master data point of view. And after we confirmed it, we will see that it's in green. And it jumped at the step 30. So this is TBU quality check. which means it went back to you to check the quality, which means the Artemis code. And quality department will check if you validate this or not, basically if classification matches with what has been entered. If I work for quality and if this workflow comes to me and I see this code and this is exactly what is being asked for, I'm going to validate. So I will say yes. Then also we can check the description of this material, which in here we don't see. So we're going to add the description, and the description will be in English, universal. And we will name this test pineapple. Close. This is alternative unit of measure. We don't need it. And then the plant data we also don't need because we will only create this so far on general level. So quality person confirms their step. After confirmation, it jumps to another step, which is done trade master data duplicates check. So it goes back to our DSP team to check if this material already exists in the system or not. So me as DSP, let's say I click on this workflow and this step to check, and I check everything, and I see that this is not a duplicate. In our workflow, we can skip the buyer step if we don't need to involve them. So I will just click skip in this case as well and just confirm the step. But also here, we will add the sales data. And let's say this is the CMX. Okay. And the plant data, usually this one is added for the local system, so I can just add quickly just to have something. Okay, this is Germany, whatever. Let's just add here. You would most probably, you can incorporate your own plant, so, but no, wait. You will have to do your own extension, so no plant data for you. Only general. After this, we can confirm this. And let's see where it goes again. So as you can see, it jumped to PG3 integration. So that means we are ready to create the material. So as you can see here, we skip the buyer step because we don't need the price here. And it goes to create the material on general level. And this is the dialog that is used here, and this is the user group that has access to this step. So, which is us, DSP or me or whoever it is, with the same user group. So I will go back to the material, and I will launch. And this is what it looks like. Let's check if all the data is filled out. There's no red marks anywhere. So this is where you would locally enter the price, but we will skip this because this does not apply to you. Each and every step, you will have the comment section. So if, let's say, you are initiator and you want other people in your team to see your comments, you will add the comment here. For example, hello, I'm trying to create new material, blah, blah, blah. This is the reference number, whatever you need. So your other teammates will see what exactly. So for example, if you know some specifics of this material and you want our team, Done Trade, DSP team, to see your comments. And the same thing, if we see that it's something wrong from your side, let's say the material group is wrong or it doesn't match the product hierarchy, we can leave the comment here as well for you when we return it for correction, and then we can tell you, hey, your material group doesn't match product hierarchy, please correct. and we will send this on the step of CBU correction, which is going to go back to you to correct it. Okay? And then you as CBU, after you correct it, you can leave a comment saying, we have corrected material group and hierarchy, please proceed. Something like that. Any questions?
Yes, if there's any question about the material that it's not correctly filled, if you don't fill correctly any specification for the material, what does it happens? It turns to another step, it goes back. How do you confirm here?
You're talking about Artemio specification?
Yes, if is there a wrong specification and you need to change it. What happens there?
Right. So when it arrives to quality step here, let's look at it with you together. Step 30 is quality step, and the next step will be 40, which is duplicate check. And if this is not correct, the CBU will correct it from their side. So they will go into the workflow. They will see the classification, which is, I don't see it here, but in
sorry,
in production.
but what happens if in the comments there's a comment from the PG integration, PG group integration, and there is something that goes wrong that, and I don't know if the supplier is wrong, if the material group is wrong, and they didn't see it. They don't only confirm it, and the workflow continues. It's already all correct.
So basically, if they have proceeded with the workflow with the wrong data, is that it?
Yes, that's right. What's happening?
Okay. We have different steps on how to catch this. So, for example, when the initiator started the workflow and there was something wrong, our DSP team will check. If we see something wrong, we will send it back to you for correction, which is here or here, depending if you're ELN or waters or whatever. So let's say here, step 25. And we will leave the comment saying that something is incorrect. If, let's say, we did not see that something was incorrect and we thought that everything's correct, we will validate the step and it will jump to step 29. And from here, it will jump to step 30, quality. If quality says that everything's correct and they don't see any error, it will still jump to validation for the duplicates. On this step, our team still will do the checks of everything anyway. So we have several steps to catch this misalignment. So if, let's say, we catch this misalignment on our step, on step 40, which is just the check for duplicates, and let's say we see that the product hierarchy is missing, we will reach out to you by email because there's no other correction step after this. So we will email you and we will say, hey, you forgot product hierarchy. Can you please provide it to us? And then we will leave a comment on this step saying that we emailed the CBU, which is you, and we were asking to provide the information that's missing from the workflow. Okay? And let's imagine that we didn't see it in here, so we didn't reach out. And we did not put the product hierarchy, and we said that's fine. And it goes to the creation. So once we're on this step, and it also belongs to us, which is DSP, we will open this step here, and we will still look at the data if it's correct or not, if it's filled out. So after this, if we still don't catch this or anything for that matter, if everything looks correct, we will sync this to the central system. So let's try to sync this. I always forget my password. Let's see what it looks like. So let's keep this. And click here, Central System. Now, this is the time when you're going to connect through Orsoft to, I mean, not you, but our team. This is when all the data that has been filled out by all the teams and approved by everybody is going to be synced with SAP. So as you can see, it will authenticate your login and password, it will validate the data, then it will create the data in the system, and then it will compare what happened and commit workflow object. And in here, at the last point, we see that the data was not sent to the local system. So this is basically what we can do is, since you don't have your local Orsoft, in some cases we can establish an interface where global Orsoft, which is this, will automatically create a workflow in your local Orsoft for local plant extension. Because as you can see, we have just generated an SAP number, which is an ERP code of our ZRO. And it appeared here, see? So now you can take this number and you can check in QG2 in our case, but in the future it will be PG3. You can display this material. And you can see that this is our test pineapple. That it's a local material that was chosen from the job. This is you can see here that this is our material group that we picked, and this is our product hierarchy. And if you have, let's say, Spanish language, you can add the Spanish language here, also from Orsoft. So remember, I chose the English Universal Language. This is it. This is at 9. So on one of those steps, with the button description here, you can choose your local language. There's Spanish Mexico. And then you can do your own description as well. Okay? So back to Orsoft. Once we created this data from our side, DSP side, we will confirm this step. And after it has been confirmed, you will also receive notifications. So I just want to make sure that you understand that each and every step, all these user group people that are assigned for their specific step, they will always receive a notification in their email box regarding the workflow. So for example, this was the workflow that we've created. And I will go to my inbox and I will show you quickly what it looks like. So if we're going to search this workflow, now you will see that today all of these are notifications that include this workflow number. Yes, 13th of March 2020. And you can design the notification whatever you want it to look like. So for example, if you will have your own quality approvers, or if you will have whatever you decide, because I don't know how many teams you guys have, and if you want to create the workflow to, to go to your team members, you can decide whatever the message you want to have and whatever the information it will contain. So in our case, you can see that it contains the code, it contains the name of the material, contains the workflow ID, and this is the subject. Wait, let me find it. So this, I believe, is a non-delivered message to a notification. I want to open Oh, I'm in this. Yeah, so this message is wrong, but it says PG3, but it actually was created in QG2. Yeah, so basically you can design the way you want the message to look like, and you can do this from the messages here, from notifications. So let's say you submitted the workflow, and then it came to our step, and then our DSP team confirmed the step, and it moved it on a step further. This notification will be sent out. If you double click, you will see that the title of notification will contain this information that is outlined with the percent sign. And it will show you the standard one, news at raw material requested by, and then it will include the CBU requester from the workflow, and it will include the workflow ID number. And then here's the text of the notification. So you can basically design whatever message you want. And it will be sent to Material TCO Master Data Manager email. Okay, let's go back to the workflows. Oh yeah, this is the production system that I was showing you. So after this, it will be up to you to create local views. As you can see, this material was created on general level only in QG2, and there's no plant view exists yet. And it will be up to you and your responsibility to extend this material to your local plant and create plant views. So you will go to your P07, I believe, right? Is it P07? Guys, can't hear you. Are you sleeping already?
No,
No? Okay.
now we are here.
So let's imagine you are in P07, so you're going to create your local views. So you're going to go ahead here, and you can put the plant, and then what's the plant code of your factory?
The number is 0597.
059?
7.
Okay. So let's imagine you're creating plant views. So I don't know how you guys do it. What is your procedure? But let's say I'm doing this just for the sake of test, okay? So we have our material, we have our description, and we have our plant. So in order for you to be able to place a purchase order or create a contract, we need to have plant views and we need to have the price. So the price will be your responsibility to come in from your teams. I don't know how you price your materials. That's up to you. And then you'll have to decide if you want to add this in your workflow or not. That is totally up to you. Okay, so for example, here on this step, you would want to have your pricing team to put in the price for this material, okay, if you decide. And then it will have this message, it will have this dialogue in the workflow. So it will have a specific dialogue and it will say price, you know, so up to you. If you want to keep that in Orsoft. So that's basically it. This is how we create general views using workflow, using Orsoft. I believe the easiest way would be, since you've never used Orsoft, and because you would need to design the workflows for yourself, for your own organization, it will be much more simpler than what I showed you, because in our organization we have all of these crazy teams that need to do their job and approve from different perspectives, from the quality, for the spec. The buyers will have to do the price, pricing coordinators will have to coordinate this price to this material. We need to know on which level we price. So that's the reason why we have so many steps to make sure that all this data is correct and it reaches all the teams. In your case, if it's general data, I believe it will be similar to what we have right now in EDP Brazil. So I'll show you for Brazil what we do is only 7 steps.
7 steps.
Yeah, very simple. So this is the workflow template for Brazil and what it looks like. As you can see, it consists of much less steps here. You also can see all the user groups that will have to work on this workflow. So it starts with the material creation request, because for Brazil, they are harmonized. So meaning they use our material groups, product hierarchy, and they use our vendor account groups, just the way you guys switched to the TRP just now. So you will be also harmonized, but you're not on buy and sell, so you don't need to undergo all of these crazy steps that we have in our organization. So your workflow probably will look something like this. So you're going to log into this Orsoft, and then you're going to go ahead and click. I'll show you an example. You'll click Create a new workflow, and then you'll choose your Z-Draw material if you want the Z-Draw. And this is the Brazilian template. So let's see the 5 steps. I think it's this one. The Z-Pack, Z-Draw, this one. Brazil Z-Draw EDP. There you go. Start. So here we'll have to fill out again. It's up to you. So we can create dialogues. Meaning you will have to create dialogue or just dialogue. So in our case, these are not mandatory fields. Here you can see what we require as mandatory fields. So it's again material group, product hierarchy. We want to make sure that your English description makes sense, because we will check that. Then base unit of measure for the Z-Raw always needs to be in kilos. You fill out this. Once you're done filling this out, you will confirm the step. Let's quickly do this. Yeah. So this here is a field that you will probably need to fill out, because this goes into SAP, but it doesn't have any impact whatsoever on the workflow itself. Basically, just pick the correct, for the Z-Raw, it will be a raw. Let's say fruit fields, LATAM, and that's it. Doesn't have any impact on this specific workflow template, to be honest. So here it will be a non-done trade material. Material group will be same. Let's say if we did the same one, so it's a raw. Okay, it jumped up, so let's do it from the beginning. It will be your waters, but for now EDP. So as you can see, it depends on if it's EDP, it will have a different things populated. So for SN, it has English description here and product hierarchy, as you can see. And for EDP, it looks a bit different. So in Brazil, we have different cases for EDP and SN. So you can do, For waters, it will be one case, so it shouldn't be an issue or shouldn't be that hard to design. Anyway, so let's do the test again. Let's fill out the product hierarchy.
You know, if I go to Argentina, maybe we take some class.
No, it doesn't matter. So, it doesn't matter. Can do Germany. Let's do Germany. So,
Okay.
it doesn't matter because this is just the test, so what matters is in the beginning what you chose as your template, because once you choose this template in your new material creation, you cannot go back. Here, you can always change, or you can always ask to correct later on. So, description, raw material, food scrap, apple. Okay, so this is a non-done trade material, and I believe this will always be also a non-done trade for you, as well as it will be as a local local view here. I'll show you. Wait, stop. No. So this is our material. And here you'll have the product allocation, which is local, and the authorization group, which is NDT, which is non-done trade. So the same thing will be for you in here, non-done trade and a local. So after we've done, so they use Artemis for EDP, but you don't. So we can completely exclude this. And then there's also a comment section, and after this, you can confirm the step. So once you confirm the step, you click refresh, and then you will see that it appeared here. So you see your, this is the name of the workflow template, and in your case, it will be, you know, Mexico waters or just waters. And you can see here that it's a Z-raw for EDP creation for Brazil. And you can also open this and see all the steps that we saw in here. So now, after you filled that out, it will go to our DSP team, and let's pretend I'm DSP. So I come to work because our office is still open and coronavirus is still not there. And I open this workflow, and I check everything you entered, and I say, wow, you entered everything right. So then I click yes. Master data workflow launch. Yes, we allow. If maybe there is an alternative unit of measure, that can also be added here if there is a need. If not, we just confirm the step. Once it's confirmed, you can also see that it jumps to a step 30. So after this, it goes to the duplicate check, and it's also, this step belongs to us. See? But imagine if you made a mistake and we saw that mistake and we didn't like it. So from this step, if we chose master data launch validation no, it will go to a step 25 because it's a condition that was met, that there was something wrong. That means it will jump back to you for CBU correction request. And then you would, step 25 you see here. And it goes back to material CBU open initiator, which is the same person or group of people that launched this workflow to create this material. So since these people or this person made a mistake, and on this step we saw it, and we flagged it, and we sent it back for correction, it's this step. So you guys, again, with the same user group, will correct this. And after you corrected this, and you submit your corrections, from step 25, it goes to step 28. And step 28 is the correction validation step. it belongs to us as well. And then I go ahead and open it, and I see, oh, you did a good job. You corrected everything. I click confirm. And so from the correction step, it will jump to step 30. So as you can see here, the next step from 28, if everything's correct, is step 30. There are no more conditions here. So if one correction was not enough, we will have to do the email because there's no more conditions here. There's no more correction steps. So everything's correct, it goes to step 30. And in step 30 is the duplicity check. It's also us. So we're going to take the Artemis code, and we will see if those materials are already in the system. We will check using the description, the material group, and the product hierarchy and the description. And if it's not there, we're going to go ahead and allow it to create this material. So as you can see here, we have a condition. Basically, if we find a duplicate in a system and the condition is met in here, it will jump to the step 35 because that is our conditional step. So if we find duplicates, it jumps straight to step 35, which means material already exists. We will not create that material, and it will send a notification, which is here. And the notification looks like this. User draw material request rejected. This is your workflow. This is local global workflow. If you only have a global one, you will have your reference to the material description, and you also will have here the reason for rejection. So our people or DSP team will leave a comment, and this comment will be included in the email, which is here, which is, let me launch it. There you go, comments. So done trade master data comments. Every single time our team does the change in the workflow or rejects it, we will always leave a comment. We will leave the date, the name who rejects this, and the reason why it was rejected. And this comment will be included in an email that you will receive in this notification, as you can see here. So you'll know exactly the reason why it was rejected. So in our case, because it was a duplicate. Because this came from material already exists step. And if it doesn't exist, and we're in this step, and we say we allow this material to be created, it will jump to the next step, which is 40. And it jumps here, step 40. And that's the time we create this material. So I go back. This is my step, and I will confirm because it looks perfect. And again, let's check our request. It's on step 40. So we go to the user task, and this is our step for the DSP to create this material. We will click on this green arrow, and after checking everything, we can, well, I'm not the one who adds the description, but you will be the one to add the description on the first step. I just want to add something. Spanish, let's do Spanish. Okay. No planned data here either, because we don't do the local extension, just the general data. So nothing in here, and then we can do master data validation, yes. And now we can click central system, which means PG3, which means general data. And you can see right away it created the subcode. So right after this step, right after we created the material from this step 40, you will receive also a notification as well, which is here. And notification looks like this. Dear CBU team, well, in your case, it will be Dear Mexico Waters. News that raw material has been created. This is the workflow ID. Will be the material number. This will be the description of that material that we just created, and so on and so forth. So basically, you can customize this message the way you want. And also, here you can see who will receive this notification. So this user group is different from the one that was launching the workflow. So in our case, the notification will be received by CBU EOW, and also it will be sent to initiator, because it says here, notify initiator. And the only time it will be sent out to initiator and to this entire user group of people is when this workflow is at the end, meaning when the step is ended. So just because we created the material, it doesn't mean that the workflow has ended. We have to confirm this step from our side to end this workflow. So basically, after we create the material, it's not yet the reason to send the notification. So if, let's say, from step 30, it jumped on step 40, and your notification says at start, that's the time you receive notification. But in our case, we want it at the end, meaning we want DSP to create material first. After material was created, we want them to click confirm. And once this step has been confirmed and it's blue, and this entire workflow now is finished, that's the time, it's the end of this step, and the notification is being sent to this user group and initiator. Make sense? So let's check if we have notifications, because I'm not sure if quality properly works. Yeah, I have my email. Okay, so let's see if I received the message. So I'm just receiving right now the non-delivered. There you go. Dear CBU team, the news that raw material has been created. Done trade workflow ID. This is our workflow. Remember, it was with percentage signs. So those percentage signs, they will pull the data needed for your workflow. And then here you'll also see that it's non-done trade material. This is the description that I gave. Very creative description of this material. This is our code. So once you receive this notification, it's already safe for you guys to take this material and then go ahead and create local views. So meaning plant views, you can extend it to your plant. Okay?
Right.
Any questions? Questions, suggestions, violent reactions?
So many reactions, but no questions.
So many reactions, yeah. So we have some documentation about Orsoft. I will find everything I have so I can send it to you. We have some user guides. We also have some user guides for people that want to use Orsoft, and also user guides on how to customize Orsoft, because I believe you're going to copy some of the dialogues from, Brazilian workflows, And this is right now specifically for materials that I showed you. You will have similar workflow, but for the vendor part. And right now, we're not yet going live with S/4HANA, so I will show you just how the vendor part works. And I will show you also the templates, because we also have different templates depending on the supplier. And if the supplier is global and it belongs to Done Trade, we have other teams that work to approve these workflows. So I will show you real quick what we use as a template for suppliers. Vendor here. And here you can see we have different templates. So we have a template for Rosin Pack supplier, which is the TRP, and we have templates for the Z001, which is goods and services suppliers. They have different requirements. That's why we have different workflows for them. As well as goods and services suppliers, they have much less steps than the ZTRP goods and service direct material supplier. So let's pick so any workflow here template that is released, it means it's used in production systems. So vendor update, vendor creation request. As you can see, the description says here vendor creation request, and you can see the ZTRP vendor creation template technical name, and it consists of 17 steps. And the same way, you don't need to have all of these steps for you because you don't have the same teams as we have. For example, for Done Trade quality approval, remember I messed up in the beginning, the material and vendor creation. So this is the part where in the vendor creation, our quality team, they link the GS, which they actually create and add the GS, which starts with 6,000 to this ZTRP vendor. So let me just maybe show you in production of what it looks like. So basically we have a user, which is, her name is Slavomira. She works in Bratislava. She does all the vendor templates, vendor creations for us. If we go to the vendor manager, and I will show you some of the workflows as an example. I had some specific case, but never mind. I'll sort it. So let's, for example, let's take this supplier. You know what? Let's take this one. So this is a Rosin Pack local vendor modification request. That's when you already know the supplier needs to edit this, some data, update. This is Rosin Pack local modification again. Where's creation? Let's do creation. Unfortunately, there's nothing on our step as DSP step, but I will just show you as an example. So, for example, here we already have a subcode. That means it's on a different step. Oops. Yeah. So basically, in this case, this template is a goods and services vendor creation request extension, which means the vendor is already in the system and it's existing, but at a different purch org and company code, and it just needs to be extended to yours. So let's pick a different one, which is step description, let's do vendor creation request, this one. Okay, so this is the Rosenpack supplier vendor creation. Now let's open the step 20 when it comes over to our DSP team to check. So basically at step 10, it starts with you guys raising a workflow, or your project manager, or your master data, whoever you guys will decide to assign to do this task. And once they fill out all the details, it will go to step 20, which is us, and we will be validating whatever you've entered in here. So we will have also the mandatory fields for general data creation of this supplier. It will be done trade or non-done trade. And basically, we will only create general data for you. So you'll have to fill out the tax ID, and at some point, we will check for duplicity at this step. Step 20 is the duplicity check. If it's already in a system or not. And after that, we will just, we will create the supplier for you in PG3 by the end of the check. And then what will happen after the creation is, again, you will receive a notification in your email box that will look similar to this, but it will say a new vendor has been created. And it will have the name of the vendor and the workflow ID. And also that will mean that the vendor that was created is already in the system, and then you can go ahead and extend it to your company code and purchasing organization. So that will be your job to do from your side to do the extension of the supplier. So you will go ahead and do your regular process, which is, create vendor, you put in the vendor code, and you put in your company code, purchasing organization, fill out all the needed details like payment terms and Incoterms and all of that. And that's it. Questions?
No question.
No questions. Okay, so then I guess you understood everything. Okay, so I'm thinking of what else to show you guys, since I showed you materials, I show you vendors. Maybe I'll show you the business partners quickly, since it's coming soon. It makes sense. Did you guys have a training regarding the business partners when we're going to migrate to S4HANA? S4HANA, anyone familiar with? Did you hear S4HANA before?
No, we haven't.
You haven't. So S4HANA is coming, and I believe it will affect all of us, you also, because they will upgrade PG3 into S4HANA. And that means all the vendors with the ZTRP account group that we've switched now, they will all become business partners. And the idea of business partner is it does not have an account group anymore the way we know it now, because this will, they got rid of the account groups in S4HANA because it simplifies the workflow and how you work with the vendors, and it only makes them a business partner, and then you get to decide which groupings it will belong to. So I'll show you quickly here what I'm talking about. Here you can see that this is the GRP. supplier. And if you go to S4HANA, it will be a business partner, which is transaction BP. And this is a business partner. So let's see if it will be the same. So in quality environment, it doesn't have this vendor yet at the moment. But basically, this is what a business partner looks like. And the business partner will have only one number. And then you can make this business partner anything you want. So you can make this business partner a supplier for rosin pack. Then you can make the same supplier for goods and services. You can also make the same supplier for different purchasing organizations and company codes, and it will all be stored in here in this view. So the transactions, as you know them for PG3, they will no longer be applicable. So basically, the vendor transactions for XK01, XK02, they are obsolete and they do not exist anymore in S4HANA. Everything will be done from BP, which is a business partner. So if you're going to try to do, let's say, create a vendor with XK01, and you type here XK01, it will ask you this, but you won't be able to create a business partner anymore because this transaction is obsolete. So for now, it will still work fine, which means because we're still in PG3, so this transaction still works, and all our templates have been based on the vendor transaction codes, which is XK01, 02, and so on. Once we go live with PG3, being S4HANA, it will all be business partner, and the business partner looks like this. So we've been migrating the workflows and testing them at the moment, how they perform, because it will look very similar to what we have right now as with the TRP accounts. But for business partners, we have these special groupings, meaning we will create a business partner number that will have a grouping of ZTRP, which is reference to the TRP, making sure that it has the same vendor range number, and it will be creating business partner and a vendor at the same time with exactly the same number. So as you can see here, for example, we will have this supplier as a business partner and as a vendor. And the reason for it is, don't pay attention to the number because it's testing environment, so it looks strange. But the real suppliers, they will start with 2, 0, and so on. So it will look nicer. But basically, our ISIT team, they created this interface to make sure that they can create business partner and the vendor at the same time, because we're only migrating PG3, meaning it's only the general data that is going to be migrating, but P0X systems, so P01, 02, 07, all of these systems, they still use vendors with the account groups, the TRP, and so on. So we will have to sort of double maintenance of this sort. So in P01, you'll be able to find this supplier in both ways. So basically, if you're going to go here and you will search for SE16, the one you all know, and you'll go to your general table, LFA1, you can put the business partner code, and then you will see that it exists here. And the reason for it is because this interface that was built, it works. So meaning, when you sync this workflow with PG3, with S4HANA, and all the data has been correctly filled out, it will create both business partner and a vendor in this table, in LFA1. However, this LFA1 table will no longer exist in the future. It only exists at the moment, right now, just so we can maintain both. And basically, if you, let's say, enter the data in the workflow and you miss some mandatory fields, because as you know, vendors, they have mandatory fields, right? Like SAP needs a mandatory field. This is what the business partner looks like when you create one. You can click on these and then you can see what you've missed. So this is just the task that I launched. But you also can see the steps here too. If you missed a mandatory field, let's say you forgot to put the phone number, we will create this business partner, but you will not be able to find it in LFA1 anymore. Because if that phone number is a mandatory field and it's missing from the business partner, the interface that ISIT people created will not work and will not be able to create in return the ZTRP vendor with this data, with like, let's say, company code and purchasing organization. It will not be able to create it in the tables of LFB1 and LFM1. So in the future, when we're with S4HANA, it makes sense to always double check if it exists, you know, it's been extended for the company code as well. In our case, it's not. So as you can see, it's only general data. So this is basically it for business partners, but I guess we will talk about it more once we go live. Right now, we just need to focus on designing a workflow for material creation, material update, and vendor creation, vendor update. Okay? Do you guys create customers at the moment?
No.
No? Okay.
The process is only for vendors and materials.
Okay. Yeah, so let's see at our meeting, what was the our agenda today? I hope I covered it all. So, Orsoft customization and final test with users. So, let me just write a quick summary with you guys. So here I will write that provide user guides, and Orsoft. Then test access from your side. So the training will have to discuss after we've designed the workflow templates for you guys, and then you know a bit more about Orsoft. And then we'll have to decide on the freeze and go live also later, because this is way too far advanced. At the moment, we're only discussing, this is only an overview, sort of, kind of like an introduction for Orsoft for you. So what I will do is I will share with you our user guide, what we have for Orsoft. And then let's discuss, maybe you can already start preparing some of the workflow design that you would want to have. And you can maybe take as a base this Brazilian workflow that I showed you. In here, so we have this. I can also provide you the, you know, the template, what it looks like with the description of the step, and also with the user group that belongs to that specific material creation workflow template. Any questions? I understand it's a lot of information, and I think it's going to be, it will take some time for you to learn Orsoft, because Orsoft, as you may see, it's more of an interface before we upload any data in SAP. It allows us to have an audit in terms of if, let's say, somebody comes in and says, how do you do your checks for quality, or how do you do your checks for you know, consistency of the creation. We don't want to pollute PG3 with random numbers, you know. That's why it makes sense to use Orsoft and make sure that we can spot these errors before we upload anything to SAP. Do you agree? I'm just trying for you to agree, that's all. Okay, if you guys don't have any more questions, then maybe write down your questions if you have, and we can maybe discuss it together on our next meeting.
Artemio, I have a
Yeah.
question regarding the updated information between Orsoft and PGT. How
Yeah.
many time or how run the process? There are a job, there are I don't know. Connecting
How many what?
How many time? How long?
How long does it take the upload of the data from PG3 to
Orsoft and
Oh,
Orsoft
long
and
it-
PG3? How long does it take the time to build
so, I'm trying to understand the question. I guess you're asking about SLA or the source level agreement maybe between the team. Is that it? You want to know how long it takes for the steps to be approved and so on and so forth? Is that it? Or you want to know how fast it is creating the data in SAP?
The question is based on the time once it have been complete all the workflow. How long does it take to be reflected to the
to PG3?
PG3 to PG3?
Oh, okay. So let's go back to my workflow here. And let's see the workflows that we've just completed. So these are my two workflows that I completed. You see the subcode? So it takes 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds to create a code.
Is it immediately? It's at the same time it was noticed that it was completed.
Yeah. So here we go. This step, PG3 integration, is when all of these steps are followed. We're not counting time here, right? We're only counting time when you click on this button here.
Yes. The final step, when you confirm, how long does it take?
Yeah, so a second, maybe 2. This is where you click Central System, and it will ask you for the password. You enter your password, and remember, it was showing us the green circles, and right after that green circle, the SAP code jumped in here. Remember, this was an empty space, and right after you click the Central System and you enter correct password and everything is correct, it will generate SAP code right the same second. Here, I will show you as a file. So this is the material that we created, and this is the step. So we can see here a timestamp. It doesn't have the time, but it only has the date. And you can go to this material that was created, and then we can see in here that it was created on the same date. It's creating the material at the same time, right away. You don't have to wait for it to sync or anything. Once you click Central System and you enter your personal password, which will be from our side, it will be our DSP team to do that, it will be created right away. The only time that you will have to spend and you should be worried about is when you design your workflow, you will have the steps for our team to check. So basically, our DSP team is checking the material group and hierarchy and the name and all of that. We reserve total of 5 days of SLA to do the checks and create the material for you. So basically, when you fill out the data in this step and then it goes to us, once this step is at our DSP team, that's the time we start the countdown. So let's say it arrived here after 1 day, we replied, and it went back to you for correction. We still counted 1 day. Then you spend, let's say, 2 days to correct it. We don't count that time. And then once you corrected it and send it back to us to validate, and we spend 1 day, this is we count as 2 days. So for our SLA, for DSP team to keep checking these, once it's at our step, we reserve 5 days for non-urgent requests, as well as this is 5 days of total time from us from the beginning, once it's at our step, up until the generation of the code in general data in PG3. So 5 days. Once it's generated here, let's say within 4 days, that's it. But if it's longer than that, then it's been sitting at our step, then we're not meeting our SLA and we're not doing our job properly, which is usually not happening because unless it's a technical issue with, let's say, with Orsoft, because we have 6 people in Manila working for us all the time processing this information, as well as 2 people in Bratislava. So we're growing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Say something else. No, so basically if you have a need to create a very, very urgent material, there's a VIP flag, meaning if you need to create an SAP code within 24 hours, you can use this as a VIP flag. It will mean that we will respond within 24 hours. So we reserve the time of only 24 hours to create the material for you. But don't abuse it because we're going to be mad if you keep using this all the time. We only allow CBUs to use this 10% out of their entire volume of creation of materials. So let's say if you're creating 100 materials, only 10 of them are allowed to be VIP, which is processed within 24 hours. Okay? Which I think is not your case, because I don't think you create that many materials per month. Or do you? No? Yes?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
No, I said you can, out of 100 materials creating per month, you are allowed to use the VIP flag only for 10. Basically 10%.
Okay.
All your volume of material creation. And I said it's probably not the case with you because I don't think you create 100 materials per month. Or are you?
30%.
Any other questions, guys?
Okay. La pregunta. Artemio, Artemio, one question regarding Artemis process. We never talk about it. We must implement it for this process, before Orsoft process.
I don't think so, no. I think Michelle said that we're not going to implement Artemis in waters. So I think you have your own system that you check for the duplicity, I believe. Right?
Okay.
I remember what Michelle told me is we will be focusing on material groups and hierarchy. And just English description is, I don't think it's going to be Z9. Do you guys do Z9 or not? I don't remember.
We changed the material groups and the English
Material.
we also working on it.
Oh, so you are going to do the Z9 descriptions, right? Okay. Z9 material description, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Okay then, thank you guys for joining this meeting. If you have questions, please write them down. Let's discuss whatever have the open topics on the next meeting as well. I hope Michelle will be able to join, and if not, maybe just forward her the video, the link that you I think you were recording, right? Yeah. So maybe forward the recording to Michelle so she knows that we have completed the training. And
because I'm also a starter, whomever is recording, I would be very appreciative if you could also forward it to me next to Michelle.
Yeah, so you can see Delia is here and she wants to record as well.
Hi.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Ya.
Que no fue muy sencillo, ¿verdad?
Es que sí, ya lo tienes bien mapeado.
Es
La
las
grabación,
mismas vistas,
las
no hay una
mismas vistas.
definición. Entonces, lo de
Sí
material.
sí lo grabé.
Sí, se dio a
lo
grabar
grabé.
y ya nada más es para que lo...
¿Qué le doy? ¿Stop? Es la primera vez que hago esto. ¿Sabes?
Sí.
Sí, no, stop.